NCAA bowling regional in Lansing, Michigan. Coach, you just lost a tough match to Wichita State, another one, but got to give them props.
Yeah, I felt like it was a fairly well played game across the board. I felt like at the beginning we might have been a touch firm with our shots. We've left a lot of 9 counts like this morning that were striking. So that I think was probably maybe the difference in the traditional game. And then the bigger game I thought was well played by both teams. We had a couple mismakeables and a couple splits, but Wichita played pretty well, and they were able to do it. So hats off to them.
Coach, well, both of you. I know that the journey is always long, and you put in so much time, hours, effort, coaches and players. That really felt like a special group out there. Can you describe what those players will mean to both of you in your own words? Yes, sir.
Well, I didn't know I was coming in here to do this till after I had cried, so I think you can kind of see it on my face, what they mean to me. As a group, they're everything, I think as coaches, we don't expect to be everything to these kids, but we pour everything into them, right? And we had a really special senior class. It was unique in that we had our first grad transfer. You look at Isabel Allen, and I think in a few short months, she changed this program for the better, and that's hard to do. You look at Paige Peters, she was a first-team All-American, and I think she really showed this group what resilience looks like. If you look at her history and the amount of injuries and things that she's fought through, and she worked her butt off to get back here and to be an asset to this group this week. Kaylee Hitt was someone who came in and didn't necessarily start a lot, but when we said, hey, Kaylee, it's your turn, she always took advantage of her opportunity. And then Kaylee Chanel is our little redhead, right, that gives us this little bit of spunk that comes in, and I always say I think her game looks really simple, but it's really impactful. And so we had a really strong senior class that I think has set us up, for years down the road.
Yeah, I think that athletically they won a national championship as sophomores. They won a conference championship as freshmen. I think that they all, in their own way, battled adversity at different points through injuries, surgeries, and things like that. I think that what they to Josie's point, when you're around people for 4 and 5 years, you get a special attachment to them, and you sort of see them grow up from when they come as 18-year-olds. This group was different because they came to campus without an official visit. They were COVID kids, and so their first official visit was their only official visit to campus was like 3 weeks before they moved in, and so at that point they were already coming. It was more of a formality just to say they went on a visit to Vanderbilt, and for them to commit and come sight unseen, more or less, I think is I think speaks volume to their character. Isabel Allen, she's a grad transfer. It's very hard, I think, to have someone come in and assimilate very quickly, especially someone with the success and background that she has. She never really questioned. She never really said, why are we doing this? Why are you doing that? She just sort of tried to buy in and be the best teammate she could be. And I think that, and I do think that she showed the girls that you may know a lot, but you can always do your part to fit in.
And then just to end it, can you talk a little bit about some of the good things you saw from the freshmen and underclassmen?
you know, I felt like today was a very solid team effort. I felt like there was a competitive spirit that at sometimes I felt was lacking this year with our group. I felt like they were sort of hanging on everyone's shot. I felt like Alyssa came in and played very well in the breaker portion. She did it this morning. She did it this afternoon. She did it yesterday as well. I thought Sydney was very solid in the anchor spot. I think it's very hard to ask a freshman to be in the anchor spot, and I don't know if that's the best position for her going forward, but it was the best position for her this year. Like, she has a self-confidence about herself that allows her to, because the anchor spot to me is more about like what do you do if you don't make the shot than it is if you do make the shot, because everybody can handle making a shot. Is what happens when you don't. And she has a confidence about herself that it never really wavered one way or the other. I thought Haley Lindley was outstanding this weekend. I think that she got a little in her head in the traditional game, and she got that sort of straightened out and was much better in the Baker.
I can go down my list for you if you want. If I start with the juniors, I thought today specifically, Tor and Alyssa really bought into the idea of what we were trying to do throughout the length of a match. So Tor's look on the fresh was very good, a little straighter, and then as we got left and we had to get softer, Alyssa was awesome at that. And so they were able to play off of each other and know when the time came that that's what we needed them to do. If you look at the sophomore class, he already talked about Haley. She was a rock star this weekend. I pulled her aside because I think she was kicking herself for that last 10 pin that she missed. But without her, we don't get to where we are, right? Like, she was unbelievable. Natalie Kent is unique to me in that most of y'all probably weren't talking about her back here because she's battled through injuries all season. But Natalie, in the last 6 months, has become what I think is a really great player coach, and I think she's going to be even better when she gets out of this because she's been able to see the lanes, knowing that she's not going to throw many shots, and see the transitions way better than she did last year because she's a little more emotionally removed from that, and she's been really helpful with the girls when I'm working with someone else to be like, hey, this is what I see, this is where we're transitioning, and she's pretty much been spot on the whole time. Sydney, like he said, I think she has a really short memory. And so she's able to fill that role in the 5 and 10 right now, where we needed it. And then Sapphire is like one of my favorite little humans in the world. When she does something really unique with the ball, and when it's there, like, no one's going to beat her. Like, it is 12 in the pit every time it hits the 1-3. But to me, what's more special than that is when she turns around, you're going to know about it too, right? Like, she has this energy and this fire that you can't fake. And it gives this special spark to the team that we're better when she's there.
That's it. Congrats on a great season. Safe travels home.
Thanks, guys.